Hi, everybody. I have an older story here that was one of those ones in the spam folder from Marjan. I hope I'm saying that right. Hi, Ollie. You don't know me, but I saw your videos on YouTube. I watch them every day and hope you don't quit making new ones. I am a woman 32 years old, lived in Turkey with a Turkish Arab man. He did not care about me much. Just in the beginning, he tried to act like I was the love of his life. There is a lot to tell about him, but I won't go into that now. About a year ago, April 2013, I told you these are old, I thought to myself, why do I let this man treat me like this? I remembered that a friend told me many years before that all Turkish men are narcissists. And last year I decided to look at the internet to look at symptoms of narcissism. There were, how do I say this, low, average, high, worst symptoms of narcissists. I started reading them, and while I was reading the average, I saw him in the symptoms. But when I was reading the worst symptoms of narcissists, I understood that my mother has all the symptoms and realizes that because my mother is a narc. I thought it was normal to be treated like this by him, the father of my child. And that should tell you a lot. Once you read and saw the symptoms and you're like, well, wait a minute. This is my mother too, and this is wrong. And that should explain to you how you ended up living in Turkey, which is a pretty repressive society towards women to begin with. It all traces back to the abuse you suffered at the hands of your narcissistic mother. That's how you ended up in Turkey to begin with, because we're always susceptible to more narcissists in our lives when we were raised by them. So you end up in a society that is very narcissistic, and a couple of my recent videos actually discuss this, the Middle East being an area, just consumed in narcissism. And this is, and it's cultural there. It's cultural. And there's been people who, confirm that in the comments, who have dated Arab men from the Middle East or been married to them, and they confirm the same thing. And with your name, it's obvious to me that you're not of Arab descent. I don't know why I wrote this email, but I'm thinking about making YouTube videos myself. I already have a YouTube channel called Zeljingzing by Marjan. It's in Dutch, and it's about so that's what I thought. You're Dutch. So for a Dutch woman to then go move to a Middle Eastern country that's very repressive towards women, you should ask yourself how you ended up there, how you ended up susceptible to this guy. And by reading about narcissism and realizing, wait a minute, this is my mother, you should have some clear answers of how you ended up where you ended up. I suffered from abnormal spine problems for about 5 years until last year, which I know comes from all the emotional and physical abuse that put enormous stress on my body. I thought maybe I could ask you for some advice. I want to bring the truth out there because my mother tries to ruin my life. I lived in Turkey to escape my abnormal mother, but I am back in Belgium and have to deal with this bitch, which stresses me out every day because of all the nasty talks she does behind my back. She is not a person to scream. She let other people do this job. She just plans all the problems. And that's funny because you went to Turkey to escape, but you didn't escape anything. You just moved from one problem to the next, and now you're back in Belgium. Thanks for your last video. I think when you continue like this, you will eventually have your daughter back. Just let her know you'll be there. When she grows up to puberty, I think things can change for you positively. Also, my mother made me a very heavy kid when I was young, and I now still suffer from overeating when I'm full of stress. My mother always bought me bigger clothes than I needed at that moment. I read one of the signs of narcs is changing weight, which made me afraid that I was a little narc myself, but my mother never taught me how to eat. We just had to eat bread, cookie with teas, bread, cookies, fruit, some snacks, dinner heavily, and cookies again. My stomach was never empty, and I thought it was normal to have pain in my stomach after eating. Now I fall back and forth in restricting and overeating, trying to get it right. Take care, Ollie. Would love to hear something from you. All the best to you and your wife, Marjan. Well, thank you for your story and your question. And yeah, food is a trigger. You know, I don't know if gaining and losing weight is a sign of narcissism itself. It's definitely a sign of depression. I mean, my weight fluctuates for that reason. I actually had to put a little weight back on because I got way too skinny, way too skinny. But yeah, food is used as, it's another thing we have a difficult relationship with, and it was set up by your mother's laziness to cook decent meals. It is set up by your mother's sabotaging of your life. She wanted you to be fat. She wanted you to feel, you know, that she was better than you. But you know, it should be a light bulb moment. I don't know if you've had it or not, because this email, I think it's like 2 years old, you know, of how you ended up where you ended up, how you ended up in Turkey in a society that is so restrictive and repressive towards women, you know, dominated by a religious ideology that is restrictive and abusive towards women. Now, Turkey is one of the more, I guess, what they call moderate Middle Eastern countries, but not really. I mean, and in, you know, full disclosure, I have my issues with Turkey personally because they nearly, you know, for Turkey, barely, I wouldn't be here. You know, they wiped out nearly my entire family other than my great-grandfather, you know, in Armenia back in 1915. So, and I think he was the only one to get out. And the rest of my family was slaughtered there by the Turks, and they never faced any type of right. They don't even admit it. You talk about the Armenian genocide in 1915, they don't even want to hear it. They freak out, and they're still bad actors in the world. So how they got into NATO is just, but that's a subject for another video. What you should need to focus on, and what you need to realize is, you were so abused by your mother that you ended up in a society that would carry on her legacy of abuse. So not only from your mother, you ended up with a man like that living in a society that supports that. I wonder how you got out. You know, I wonder I compliment you for at least having the strength to realize it and get out once you saw the symptoms of narcissism, and then realize, like, holy shit, this is my mother too. So I'd like a follow-up from you, find out where you are, how you're doing. That would be good, because this is a couple of years old. But I thought it was a good story because it just goes to show you and everybody who's watching that, again, how you were raised in your past, you're going to gravitate towards the same thing. And in your case, you gravitated towards lived in a whole society of that, where it's repressive and abusive towards women. So just keep that in mind, everybody. I mean, you know, when you're hard on yourself and you're down on yourself and you think, how could I? It's like, listen, you were set up for failure as a child with narcissistic parents. They put you on this road, they put you on this path, and they set you up for failure. They want to see you not succeed. They want to see you fail. They want to see you miserable. They want to see you depressed. Because if you are all those things, then you are under control. Because again, it's always about being under the control of the narcissist. Thank you for your story. I really appreciate it. Thank you to everybody who's watching. Please leave any comments or opinions in the comment section below. And again, if you want your story read on the channel, You know what to do with the PayPal link in the description box. Just hit it up and I'll get it right out to you. This is Ollie Matthews. Thanks for watching. I'll see you all again soon.